Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and today I've asked Felicity Repacholi-Muir, I think I got that right, the Managing Director of Recharge Metals, ASX code is REC, to come back and chat to us now. It wasn't that long ago. It was in March the 15th, I believe, that I spoke to Felicity. She just joined as Managing Director. It just made their acquisition of the Wapistan Lithium Project. And just to point out to you guys out there, at the time I was chatting, they'd just done a capital raise at 10 cents. When I was talking, their share price was 14 cents. And today, their share price is 20 cents. This is not financial advice, ladies and gentlemen. Do your own research. But it seems to me that the market is pretty much confident about what they're doing and the strategy and direction they're going in. Felicity, thanks so much for coming back and having another chat with me today on the day you make an announcement. But before we get into that, just give us the brief overview of who are Recharge Metals.
Thanks, Gary. Lovely to join you again. Recharge Metals listed on the ASX back in October 21. I've been on the board since inception, initially as a non-exec. And in March, when I spoke to you earlier, I just stepped up to MD, the MD role, along with our Express Lithium Project acquisition in James Bay, Canada. And obviously things have been progressing really well from our project point of view, loving the Canadian lithium space. And I suppose essentially that's why I'm back here today to fill you in on, our additional project acquisition.
All right. Well, I'll come back to Express because I want to know what you've done there. But today's announcement is all about the, let me get it right, the Wapistan. I was about to call it Capistan, ladies and gentlemen. The Wapistan Lithium Project, which is also in James Bay. So clearly you like the area. Talk to us about this, why this acquisition.
Yeah, so the Wapistan project we felt was just a perfect fit to go with us at Express. It's only 120 kilometres north from Express. And again, it's in a really underexplored area for lithium mineralisation. This is a really large belt scale project. It's approximately 107 square kilometres, so a really, substantial package within that area. We cover approximately 30 kilometres of the Yasinki Greenstone Belt, which is known to host mineralisation just to the northern limb of the Greenstone Belt at the Q2 Metals and Afir Gold projects. Both of these companies are listed on the TSX and have been generating some really interesting work in the area. Again, the Yasinki Greenstone Belt, which Q2 and Afir are exploring, are really underexplored. These areas were previously explored for gold mineralisation, and it's really only been since the companies have picked them up that they've started looking at lithium mineralisation. And Q2 in particular, they have identified an 8-kilometre strike length of lithium mineralisation, including their MIA LI1 prospect. And again, really only early stage reconnaissance work here. But they've taken 18 grab samples from this MIA LI1 prospect and, have averaged 2.65% lithium. So,
is that clearly good as a non-geologist? No idea.
That's fantastic. Clearly, grab samples, indicate, so there's a lot of smoke in the area. So, we're really not going to know what we've got or what they've got until they get down there and drill. But, from all kind of indicators, it's looking like a really exciting spot to be. And I suppose something that's really kind of really interesting from our point of view is the people that are involved with Q2 and Afir. So the Vice President of Q2 Metals is Neil McCallum, who was part of the Derouge team that was responsible for staking the Corvette district, which, Patriot Battery Metals have now and have obviously done really well. So, these are geologists that can really recognise these mineral indicators that are key to understanding, where lithium mineralisation may be and, the prime areas. And likewise, Afir, the VP of Afir is also, linked in with Patriot as well. So, we're in really good company there, to be a long trend you know, from an 8K underexplored lithium mineralisation with grab samples at 2.65, we're pretty excited to get out there as well and, you know, grab some grab samples of our own and really, you know, ground truth and see what we've got. And, you know, as I mentioned, we've got 30 kilometres of this greenstone belt. So, you know, huge opportunity for recharge.
So it's the same belt as Ophir and Q2, is that what you're
Q2
saying?
metals, correct. Yep. Yep.
So you to the south or to the north of them? I'm just trying to get a visual.
We're to the south, so pretty much just 8 kilometres away from Q2's area.
Okay.
So yeah, really, really close, as you can see by our map in the announcement.
Talk to us about the acquisition itself. That's, I guess, the material terms of the acquisition, but you know, who had it, and why'd they give it up?
Oh, lucky us. So Rockland Resources are a company that's listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange. They had acquired the project, but essentially they have a project in Utah that they really wanted to focus on. So, you know, they're obviously keen to be able to fund the Utah project, which, you know, gave us the opportunity to acquire the Wapistan project from them. So I suppose in terms of material terms, we pay an immediate Canadian $500,000 up in cash, plus $200,000, which is essentially in payments to adjust for Rockland having acquired the project, and 5 million of recharge shares. And further down the track, we have a deferred payment down the 6-month mark, should we wish to proceed, of an additional 500,000 Canadian dollars. So, you know, this 6 months is perfect opportunity for us to get on the ground, prove it up, see what we've got. And yeah, we look at it as a, you know, fantastic, pretty cheap, opportunistic deal for recharge. We're, you know, really excited to have been able to grab this opportunity of such a large belt scale project.
You just mentioned the terms, the 500 cash, but then another 500,000 in 6 months, and I'm assuming that's after you've done some work, but it doesn't seem a very long period of time, 6 months, to make a decision as to whether you like the project or not. Or are you saying this is now done and we're going to get on the ground and we're going to go hard and fast?
Yeah, this is now done. And I suppose going back to Q2 and Ophir, what is just fits perfectly in all of our framework is the fact that the Darouge Geological Consulting Group, they are doing all of the field work for Ophir and Q2. Both Ophir and Q2 announced that they had field crews on the ground towards the end of May. They have had to temporarily evacuate with all of the Canadian bushfires and everything else like that, but they'll be back on site. And I suppose what is really important from our point of view is the fact that the Darouge, or the DGRM group, was the vendor of the Express project to us. Jody Darouge's group sits on our register at about 18%, and their consulting arm, the Darouge Geological Consulting arm, is the group that is doing the work for Q2 and Ophir, and will also be doing our work. So essentially, they're already on the ground. They are, you know, we're just getting our scope of work ready. You know, they have a helicopter based up there for the summer. And so we realised that we can, you know, really get moving on this project really quickly, you know, which I think a lot of companies at the moment are really struggling to, you know, get staff, get helicopters, get all the work. Whereas, you know, all of those little pieces of the puzzle, they're already in place for us. It's just really, you know, getting on and executing all the work.
My question is, are you going to have a spat with Q2 or Ophir if you're also using the same consulting group? Who gets first dibs, Felicity?
No, well, I think, Jimmy, they've probably jumped to the front of the queue by the fact that they're already out there. But no, Jimmy, I think Darouge have, you know, geared up sufficiently that they can, you know, be managing all their various commitments. And, you know, I suppose, you know, what is really key about using, you know, the same group is, you know, you get people that are really familiar with the ground. They know what they're looking for. You know, they recognise the rocks. They recognise, you know, all of the similarities that are there. And just from a logistical point of view, you know, being able to already have people in accommodation hubs and everything else like that in you know, in what is a relatively remote part of Canada. So, yeah, no, we feel like we're, you know, really well situated there.
Okay, well, I'm talking to you in June. 6 months takes us pretty much to Christmas. I can't believe it. It drives me crazy knowing that the year is zooming past. What's that 6 months going to look like? Because when I spoke to you in March, you'd acquired the Express Lithium project. And as I said right at the start, the market clearly liked that acquisition because your share price has obviously strengthened off the back of that. I guess my question is, how do you manage Express and Wapistan, given that, I guess it's given that 6 month window, if you like, to make that second payment as per the terms of this acquisition? Is all the focus going to be on Wapistan for the next 6 months?
No, we're definitely focusing on the two assets. So we look at them as really complementary assets. We obviously picked up Express, which, has been our flagship project, getting us into James Bay, giving us the presence and also giving us, I suppose, the confidence that we're really, impressed with the district. We really like, the direction of all the lithium discoveries that are occurring in James Bay. And, that's what essentially gave us, the confidence to acquire the Wapistan project. So we'll be working on them both in tandem. We're actually, our field campaign at Express kicks off at the end of July, which I'll personally be on the ground for. So super looking forward to getting out on the ground and having a look at that. And at the same time, we'll also be working at Wapistan. So I suppose, the beauty with the Darouge Geological Consulting Group is, they have a plethora of geologists and field assistants at their command. So, there'll be one separate group working at Express for us. And obviously, their larger group that they have working on that area of companies around the Yasinki Greenstone Belt will be working up there. So, no, we're really looking forward to that news flow coming out of both of our projects as we, explore them in tandem. So both of the projects, the initial work will be, reconnaissance work. So out there, geological mapping, traversing the area, taking some grab samples and seeing what's on the ground. With both of them being in that really early stage, having never had any concerted lithium exploration completed for them. Both of them have been focused from a gold point of view. So essentially the work that will be getting done on both projects will be the same. We're in the process of a LiDAR survey, which essentially maps like a DTM layer of the area. That will be starting probably later this month at Express, and we'll also be looking at doing the similar at Wapistan. So, we really look at them like, very complementary assets, very similar pipeline, and yeah, just keen to get working on them both.
What's the access like to both projects? So just, it's the James Bay region. Have you got roads and a bit of infrastructure around there, or is it in the middle of nowhere?
No, we, and I suppose, this was one thing about both projects, which really gave us the confidence to go into them. The James Bay Road itself, which is State Road 109, the highway, literally runs straight past Express and then straight through pretty much the middle of the Wapistan project. So, we're not remote like, a lot of projects are popping up as much as, we are distal from Montreal, from some of the main hubs in Quebec and everything else like that. We've got fantastic access from a highway point of view. Both projects also have the Quebec hydropower running either, through the project or just on the edge of the project, which is obviously important from a longer term potential mining operation. So yeah, no, in terms of logistics, also we've got accommodation hubs really close between both projects. So yeah, no, really, really well supported by existing infrastructure.
Then I think under the terms of this acquisition, was there a royalty payment for? And I know I'm jumping way forward, but is there a part of the terms of the acquisition where further down the track, way further down the track, there will be a royalty paid back to Rockland? Is that correct? Did I read that right?
Yeah, correct. There's a 2% net smelter royalty return on the Wapistan project, but we can reduce the royalty down to 1% by paying an additional 500,000 Canadian. So yeah.
Okay, so talking numbers to me, how are we going to fund this? Out of existing funds, or?
So along with this project acquisition, we are doing a small capital raise. This was 1.1 Australian, so 1 Canadian. And this was essentially to underpin the acquisition and to fund the initial exploration. So we're really well funded to explore at both Express and Wapistan. Further down the track, we will be looking at, additional funding to increase our exploration to really get stuck into things. But no, for the time being, we are very well funded.
Canada has something called the flow-through share scheme. Has Recharge Metals looked at that as well? Because from what I understand it, the flow-through, it's a tax incentive, but it actually allows you to raise a little bit more money along the way. Have you looked? I know it's complicated because I was talking to somebody the other day who said the amount of paperwork that they went through was quite challenging. Is that something that you've looked at all?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something we've looked at. Do you mean it allows companies to raise capital at a higher price? So, therefore giving you more money for exploration and development. The key to that is having a Canadian subsidiary, which obviously we were just setting up when we acquired the Express project. So we've got that Canadian subsidiary set up now. So now it is, do you mean essentially looking at that in the background, how that would work? But, there are some major incentives to operate in Canada at the moment. And, raising money through the flow through share scheme is definitely one of them that we'll be exploring.
Right. So going back to our audience, which is a beautiful investor audience, I just want to fully understand this. Do you work with companies like OFA and Q2 and share data and share results at all, or are you very much, close the arms and don't share? Just curious.
Well, given the fact that we're, new to the area, we don't have all of those relationships with all of the Canadian companies. However, having said that, Jimmy, I imagine, it's very similar to Australia where, you do share some information and, learn from experiences and, you're always, carefully watching what other companies are doing. That's just that, I suppose, inquisitive nature of the industry. I think that's what makes exploration really exciting as well. Learning what techniques and skills work for other projects that may work for yours.
Canada, I know it can get bloody cold up there. Are there times of the year, Felicity, when you won't be able to do the work, where you'll be doing more of sort of the data interpretation, etc.? Is it that, I'm talking to you in June, for the rest of this year, is it very much about we can go out, we can get the grab samples and we can do the LiDAR surveys, etc. for the rest of this year? Is there a time when you can't because it's too darn cold?
Yeah, I'm sure it will be cold, a bit colder than Perth. So essentially in terms of for the reconnaissance work, that early stage work that I was talking about, the getting on the ground, the traversing the area, the having a look at the outcrop, obviously we need the warmer months for that to occur because we can't have the snow on the ground. But, obviously there's no snow at the moment, so that's why it's a perfect time now to be out there and get on the ground and do that. Following that, do you mean the drill rigs can work all through the year? They can drill through the ice, they can drill through the snow, that's all fine. Okay. There are a few other little small blanket areas where you can't work. That's just due in terms of the Cree communities and things like that. I think it's their geese hunting season. We have to avoid helicopter use during that. But, all these things that we can happily work around and, we'll be on the ground as much as we can.
From the, I guess, a bigger, wider picture, there's a lot of companies that have got lithium projects out there. What do you think is the standout for Recharge Metals? Would you say it's the area in? Would you say it's the fact that it's Canada is probably one of the best places to work? I just want to find out, how do you set yourself apart from all the other lithium players out there?
Good question, Kerry. I think it's probably a combination of all of those factors that you went into. I think a big part of it is being in James Bay, Canada. Canada currently boasts really strong environmental, social and governance credentials, which is really important going forward from an ESG point of view. Quebec itself, the government is really supportive with the, critical industry, including lithium. So we're really well placed from that point of view. James Bay has been shown to be really highly prospective and really underexplored from a lithium point of view. So that provides us with, a really unique opportunity to get into the ground, get onto the ground and have a look at, essentially new frontier areas. Yeah. And I suppose, the appetite that Australian investors are really showing for the Canadian lithium market, really, sends us that thought process that, our shareholders are really happy for us to be there. Happy shareholders.
That was clear from how the market reacted. As I said last time, your share price is 50%, well, not quite, 25% higher than the last time I spoke to you. All right, we are running out of time, Felicity. So everyone knows I like to wrap it up, as you do now, because this is the second time we've chatted.
A bit more prepared this time, Kerry.
3 reasons you think that our audience should sit up and take notice of ASX code REC right now.
Okay, I suppose firstly, following on, I think it was my first one last time actually, was location. And I still think that, that is still, pretty much, the main one. This Wapistan acquisition is really complementary to Express. It provides Recharge with 2 key projects in the James Bay Lithium District, and they're only 120 kilometres from each other. So, that's probably number 1. Number 2 would be our supportive share register. They're really well aligned with our strategy into the Canadian lithium space. And I suppose, of particular note is that this includes Jody DeRouge from GDRM, who was the vendor of Express and has the consulting arm, the DeRouge Geological Consulting that I alluded to. So, they're ready to complete work on the project. Jody holds near on 18% of Recharge. So, we're really well aligned from that point of view.
Before you go into point number 3, I'm just going to stop. I've never done this before, Felicity, but I'll do it now. So the people that are going to help you with the on the ground consulting, she owns the head of that company.
Jody.
Jody owns 18% of Recharge.
18%
of Recharge.
Yeah.
That says that she's very confident of what she's got her hands on, I guess. Sorry to interrupt you, but
that's okay. I'll just reiterate, Jody is a he.
Jody is a he. Sorry. Whoops. Sorry,
that's
Jody.
Okay.
You watch this. I do have a male Jody friend, but I've got lots of female Jody friends as well. So, Mr. Jody, there we go.
Yes. So they were the vendors of the Express project. So that's why they, have such a large stake in Recharge and are really well aligned for our success. And it's, that's, just the synergies, and that's how we'll enable us to get on the ground so promptly at Wapistan and Express.
Got it.
So it's a fantastic relationship. Yep. And I suppose number 3, just to sum up, I suppose, we have everything in place for a busy field season. So now it's just a case of getting in there and executing our plan. And we have all the money to do it. So, we're really well funded, really excited, and can't wait. And as I said, I'm, on the ground late July, early August, and really looking forward to walking over those rocks.
Okay, well, when you get back from walking over those rocks, you must come back and give us an update and let us know how it's progressing over there in the nicer, slightly warmer months. But for now, Felicity, thanks so much for joining me on Small Caps today.
Thanks, Kerry. Pleasure to have a chat.